Alrighty, so today I'm going to be drawing in my brand new IKEA sketchbook for the first time. In specific today, I'm going to be drawing in my IKEA Solfagel sketchbook, which is not really meant to be an actual sketchbook. From what I can tell, at least, this is more of a painting book, I think, at least. It says that the design of this book was done by Sarah Fager, but that's not the information I'm looking for. We can see on the front, we get like a bunch of little like paint tests right here and everything like that kind of thing. It says this is A4 paper, where it had some information on this book that I saw, but I'm not seeing the information now. Not exactly sure what is going on, but from what I can tell, at least, this is not exactly sketchbook paper. It is more like sort of like canvas paper or something like that kind of thing for painting on. Today, I'm not going to be painting on this paper, though. I am instead just going to be simply drawing in it for the first time with a pen. That's my plan, at least. And today, I'm thinking I want to use, what pen do I want to use? I got a bunch of different pens that I can use. I'm thinking I'm going to use, oh, you know what? I'm not actually going to use any of the pens in here. I'm thinking I'm going to use one of my pens that I got right here. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to use. And honestly, I'm going to use this pen right here, frankly, but this is a XDM stationary permanent marker. Something like that kind of thing. I don't know anything about this brand, but that's what this marker is, and that's what I'm going to be using to draw with in this video today. We can see this sketchbook has how many sheets? How many sheets does it have? I think, is it only 16? No, this has got to have more than 16 sheets, right? It says 16 times, so maybe it really is only 16 sheets. I'm not exactly sure. Either way, though, this sketchbook cost me $5. Which is not a horrible price for the size and for the thickness of the paper. The paper certainly does seem to be thicker than not. Does it actually say what the thickness is? If it says 1.15 ounces per square feet or 350 grams per square meter, I'll be frank, I'm used to pounds and whatnot. I have no clue what that really means when it comes to paper, but it's IKEA, so it's Swedish, so of course they're going to use metric rather than imperial, the correct method of measuring. But I do suppose, without further ado, I can't actually really draw in my new IKEA sketchbook if I don't actually, start drawing in it. So let's go ahead and get all this paper I've got right here all off. If I can figure out how to do that, let's go ahead and just see if I can get that just ripped open just like that kind of thing. Go ahead and just get that out as well, if I can. Let's see, yep, just like that. Go and get, okay, I'm just gonna rip it. There we go, perfect. Now I'm gonna go and put all this trash just on the ground, throw it away after this video. And is there any other information on the sketchbook that I might need to know about? I'm not really seeing any. This was made in China, not made in Sweden. And yep, just says made in China once again. And it does not appear that there's really anything else going on, frankly put. Well, let's go ahead and flip it just like that. Let's go ahead and get it opened up to the nearest open page. And just feeling this paper, this is definitely not your normal sketchbook paper. This is most certainly canvas paper meant for painting on. The texture of it is very similar to that of a canvas. So this is not really, technically speaking, a sketchbook. It is more of a painting book, I definitely have to say. But as said, I'm going to be sketching in it nonetheless. But the paper overall seems to be pretty decent quality. It's got the texture of a canvas, 100%. That's not a super big deal by any means. It is very thick, if I do say so myself. This is probably like a solid 150-pound paper, if I had to guess at least. If not, maybe a little bit less or a little bit more. I'm not super good at guessing the pounds of paper, but this is a little bit thicker than not. Let me just put it that way. So you're definitely not going to have any issues with bleeding, if I had to guess at least. And I'd have to say that this sort of texture for the paper, it's probably best for acrylic or oils. This is definitely not watercolor paper by any means. It's got a very sort of, I'd have to say, almost plasticky feeling to the paper. It doesn't feel like watercolor paper, which has a little bit of a rougher sort of, I'd have to say, absorbent texture to it. This is not an absorbent texture. You're meant to paint on top of the paper, and it's not really meant to absorb in. It's meant to act like a canvas, and that's how a canvas acts. This is very much canvas paper, to say the least. Well, I do suppose, without further ado, now that I've talked about the paper just a little bit more so than not, overall the quality of the book is decent. It just flips up just like that kind of thing. The quality of the paper is pretty good. This side you're not really meant to paint on. It's really just one side you're meant to paint on. You're not really meant to use both sides of the paper by any means. But now that I've talked about the paper, the book, and what else is what else I said and everything like that kind of thing. I do suppose now it's time for me to go ahead and get the cap all off of my XDM stationary permanent marker, and I do suppose now it's time for me to go ahead and actually get to drawing in my new IKEA sketchbook for the first time. What do I want to draw today? What do I want to draw? I think I'm going to draw a school of fish. That sounds like a plan to me. I don't know how well this pen's going to stick to this paper, but we will find out. As said, this paper has a little bit of a sort of plasticky, very smooth feeling to it. Not sure how well a permanent marker is going to stick to it, but we will find out. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get to drawing a school of fish, starting off with the jaw of the fish right over here. And does that smear at all or anything like that kind of thing? No. I was a little bit afraid that my permanent marker was just gonna, that the permanent marker ink was just gonna kind of sit on top of the paper, that it wasn't really gonna soak in. But no, it's soaking in, and I am very, very, very glad about that, to say the least. Let's go ahead and do another one real quick. So let's go ahead and do another jaw right there. I'm gonna have that come up. There is one thing to mention about this, and that is that when I kind of start to go up, the pen itself is not very happy with that. I think that's in part due to the pen, and also in part due to the paper itself. The paper definitely doesn't lead itself to using pen's width, in all honesty, so the texture of it definitely does not help when you kind of change direction with the pen and you start going a different way. You start to bounce just a little bit kind of thing. It's definitely not paper that is really meant for a pen. Not going to be an issue if you use this paper for what it's designed for, but if you're doing what I'm doing today, you might not have the greatest experience with some pens and permanent markers, and I definitely would not recommend using this paper at all with a small gel pen like a 0.3 or below, or hell, even just a gel pen in general. I really don't think it would work very well, just because it does have a very canvas-like texture to it. If you're going to use this sketchbook for sketching, you definitely want to, well, frankly put, use a permanent marker or some sort of paint pen. Let's go and do another fish, though. And I think I can do one more over here. There we go. And let's go ahead and just continue more. I think doing more. I think I'm just going to start stacking them, in all honesty. And as I get used to drawing on this paper, it's getting a little bit easier to kind of figure out how I want to position my hands, so I don't have problems with the pen bouncing and whatnot, or with any sort of direction changes. It's getting a little bit easier to use this pen on this paper as I continue going, but I definitely still do not think using a ballpoint pen or a fountain pen or a gel pen on this paper would be a very good idea. I don't think it would be. Let's go ahead and do another little bit of a drawing right here. I did that one way too big, in all honesty, but that's okay. It is what it is. Nothing I can do about it now. Let's go and do one up here. And it's already getting a little bit hard to tell kind of where everything is. It's just getting a little bit more mixed up than not, to say the least. We're not quite done yet, though. I think I want to do another one right here and another one right here at the minimum. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. There we go, just like that. Thinking I might want to do another one right here. I gotta admit though, this paper, while it's not the greatest for using a permanent marker on, it does work pretty well at the same time. And just do a little bit of fin right there before I go and turn it over. And we can see nothing is bleeding through at all. This is super, super, super thick paper. You do not have to worry about anything bleeding through. This, I gotta admit, I like this paper a little bit more so than not. It's not something I would normally use, frankly put, but I don't mind it one bit. I don't mind it one bit. I don't mind using it. And yeah, I can't complain too much now, can I? I was a little bit afraid that maybe this paper wouldn't work very well for this sort of use, but you know, it's not horrible. It's definitely not the best option out there, but it does the job. Alrighty there, y'all. I'm thinking that is the drawing almost done. I'm thinking I might want to do one or two more over here. So let's go ahead and do those real quick. Alrighty, and that's looking a little bit better now. Maybe I want to do one more up here as well. There we go. And any more? Maybe one right here. Alright, now that I have completed my drawing, my first drawing in my brand new IKEA sketchbook, I think it's now time for me to go ahead and give you guys my final thoughts on this sketchbook right here. And on my drawing, I do suppose after that as well. So, what are my final thoughts on this sketchbook? Do I like it or do I not? Well, I like the front. I think the front's pretty good in all honesty. The name, I don't really understand, but it's something in Swedish, I imagine. The actual paper itself is much thicker than that. You can definitely tell it's not really meant for use with a permanent marker or a gel pen, ballpoint pen, fountain pen, something like that kind of thing. It is canvas paper, to say the least. Pretty decent quality canvas paper, surprisingly decent quality canvas paper, because it's, well, from IKEA, in all honesty. IKEA is not exactly known for being an art brand. But you know, this paper is actually a little bit more solid quality than not, if you ask me at least, and I certainly have not minded drawing on this paper by any means. Now, I cannot comment on how good this canvas paper actually is to paint on, just simply because, well, I didn't paint on it during today's video. I drew on it with this permanent marker right here, so I can't comment on how good this paper actually is to paint on, but I can confirm that this paper is pretty decent to draw on with a permanent marker. It's not the best by any means. Depending on the angle you have your pen going, you might start bouncing just a little bit, but it's still pretty good nonetheless for drawing with permanent marker on, especially since you're not going to bleed through the back of paper, just simply because the paper is so dang thick. Now, just taking a look at how much paper we get, I think we only get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, so we only get 16 pieces of paper. That's for $5 Canadian, or I want to say like $4.20 USD or something like that kind of thing. I'm not sure on the exact exchange rate. I didn't do that before this video. But I bought this for like $5 Canadian. You get 16 pieces of paper. I mean, like, it's not a horrible deal by any means, but I wouldn't recommend buying this if you're just planning it to use it like a normal sketchbook. There's a lot of much cheaper sketchbooks out there that you can buy with more pages for the same price. If you're planning on using this for painting, that's a different story. I think it's actually a pretty good buy if you're planning on using this for painting. But if you're just looking to use this for sketching and whatnot, I do think there are better sketchbooks out there to purchase, even if going to IKEA is more convenient than going to your local art store, or if you even have a local art store at all, because those are becoming more and more rare these days. But, as a whole, I don't mind the IKEA Solfagel sketchbook one bit. I think it's pretty solid for what it's meant to be used for, if I had to guess at least, and I think it's pretty solid for, well, frankly put, using permanent marker on as well. Now, I do not think it's solid for using fountain pens, ballpoint pens, or pencil, or charcoal, or I'd have to say like gel pens, or any of that sort of stuff. I even think like smaller felt tip permanent markers would not really work very well in this sketchbook, just due to the canvas-like texture of the paper. But if you're using a big-ass permanent marker like I did in this video, I think it's a pretty good sketchbook, and I'm looking forward to drawing more in this sketchbook in the future, and I'm looking forward to, hopefully, maybe even painting in this sketchbook in the future as well. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of the IKEA Solfagel, if you guys own one, and let me know what you guys think of this drawing right here as well. As a whole, I'm pretty satisfied with my school of fish that I drew in today's video. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of it. Do you guys like it? Do you guys not? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, also make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I have my Instagram, my book, my merch, my P.O. box, and my main channel all in the description down below. Go check it all out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, y'all. As said, like, subscribe. Until the next one, stay safe in peace and have a great one. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying?